In today's video, we're going to be talking about diversity in cycling. Let's do it. Ooh, got a storm coming in. All right, guys, what's up? So in this video, I wanted to talk to you all about diversity in cycling. I know there's a lot of people who are gonna get a little triggered by this video, and that's totally okay. But hopefully you can sort of like understand where I'm coming from and learn a little bit about what's going on in cycling for the most part. So I'm here quickly, just a location pin, Virginia Key, Miami, Florida. Beautiful right now, evening of Wednesday, and right by the ocean. So I thought this is a perfect spot to record this video. I hope you can hear me. I don't have my microphone for this video, but yeah, so I just want to like start with mainly talking about the UCI World Championship race in Uganda that just passed, and just what it did for me in terms of like open up my eyes a little bit and just kind of take a bird's eye view on like what's going on in the sport of cycling in terms of like diversity and inclusion, especially after seeing some of the riders' bikes, mainly, you know, speaking to the African riders during that race versus a lot of the other riders who are from Europe, other parts of the world, like China, who had far better bikes. And obviously I think resources is one thing to speak to, but I want to start with the positives. Like, what happened in Uganda was a great move by the UCI for putting that race in Africa, on that continent, and especially since it's usually like in parts of like Europe. So that's one. I think a positive for that too is like putting Uganda on the map, putting a country that has limited resources compared to other countries. And I think like that's important for people who were watching the race that day, people who were on the sidelines, kids who saw African riders who look like them ride on by, coming out of the start, and giving them like a beacon for their life, you know, giving them like that influence, hope that they could do the same thing, and also spark this newfound glory of cycling, you know. So I think that was great. It reminded me a lot of like the Harlem Crit back in New York City, which is one of the races I used to love taking part of when I lived out in New York City. I raced the Harlem Crit like, man, I want to say like maybe 3 or 4 times, but it's such an awesome race because it's one of the most diverse races inside of like New York City, if not the entire country. Sadly to say, but it totally is like such a diverse race. I feel like it reminds me of like a barbecue, but I'll digress. And I'm not saying that to be funny, but like there's a certain aspect of cycling in the culture that like a lot of people of color, and also like, you know, brown people, minorities, I'll just say that, can bring to the table. And obviously there's lots of minorities who are cyclists. You know, I think about places like, for instance, in South America, like Colombia, they're really crushing it. Huge cycling community there. And here in Miami too, there's lots of people from Central and South America who ride and have these amazing communities. Like we have an amazing community here in Miami, but there's something about the Black community that sees the sport as being foreign, whether that's due to resources or just having that person that could sort of like influence them to know that, yeah, like you can hop on a bike and go there and there are no boundaries, you know. And I think what I saw at the UCI World Championship was definitely something that like is going to be like an upside. I think one of the things that brands, sponsorships, the UCI, whatever needs to do is think about how they could fund athletes in those parts of the world. You know, I think when it comes to the continent of Africa, we all know, and I know for sure too, you know, that lineage and endurance sport is incredible in terms of the runners and what they can do. what they're capable of. And I think there's a lot of athletes out there who are undiscovered, who need to be and be put on the map and given opportunities to be able to get out there and have the same opportunities that you see a lot of the people in Europe having. One thing about, I wouldn't say it's a negative, but one thing that's obviously like, maybe just like, I'd say a little bit, I don't want to say like unsettling, but just not the way I have wanted to see it, was like performance has, I mean, obviously performance has everything to do with it, but being that the UCI World Championship was in Africa, it was in the continent of Africa, in the country of Uganda, it would have been great to see someone on that turf stand on the podium. And I think too, like cyclists like Briam Girmay, who is at the elite level in cycling, and given the opportunity to race at that level is amazing. But at the end of the day, amongst, you know, you put him on a piece of paper, he's a dot on that paper, because he's a minority still within a group of cyclists who are European and who dominate the sport. And so I think the teams who sponsor the athletes need to possibly look at how they could support other athletes in their endeavors, and really, you know, put them on the map and be able to give them those same opportunities as others. You know, I think about like youth culture and how I got into cycling. I didn't have that circle of influence, you know, like my father, I thank my father and my mother for having great parents, being able to be with them and have them support me. Especially my dad, like he took me on rides and everything. He wasn't a cyclist, but he rode a bike. My dad was a commuter, you know, he rode a bike every day to work, and he kept me on that bike, I'll tell you that. And they supported my cycling. They supported me riding BMX. I told y'all my story about that and cycling and everything. But like at the end of the day, like they were my circle of influence, besides like my friends who I enjoyed BMX riding with. But in cycling, there was really no one that really got me into it besides like Lance Armstrong, you know. But I do think, had I seen someone who looked like me when I was like, you know, the age of 16 or 17 when I discovered cycling, that would have been a game changer for me. I may have poured more of my time into it, you know. But I'm thankful for where I am now with cycling and being able to continue to push the pedals. But I think we need to give people an invitation. I think that's what we could do, is as a way to help out, and as a way to, you know, put your foot forward, is to give people an invitation to be able to explore the sport of cycling in a way that's inclusive, a way that is an opportunity for them to be able to change their perspective. And that's all it really takes, is to have that mind shift. Because a lot of people in Uganda who are on the sidelines watching those riders go by who look like them saw the sport of cycling as foreign. But now I think after they saw those races that went on this year, is gonna be a game changer for them. I'm sure there's some little boy or girl in that crowd that was like, wow, this is what I want to do. So yeah, I mean, this video is not about attacking anyone. It's just I think it's a way for us to sit down and have these conversations that I think need to be had, because I think they're highly overlooked. And if I can utilize my platform to do that, then I will. And this isn't going to be the last video about it, so I just wanted to share my thoughts on it because I think it's something that is important in the sport of cycling, and I do see the algorithm changing. And I don't mean technically the algorithm, I'm talking like on a social, economic spectrum, like it's changing. So that's what I'm gonna do on my platform, but I'm gonna plug organizations that I think are crushing it, and teams as well, that I think y'all could look into and see how you can help support. Ride for Racial Justice is one of them. Marcus and Neil Henderson, Marcus Robinson, those are the founders of it. Great set of guys. I was on one of their first year team of Ride for Racial Justice, so I was happy to be on that squad. But they're doing some great things in the gravel cycling community, and I think they have a lot of potential to span. They're already crushing it. So let's look at that organization. There's also the Legion of Los Angeles. Y'all already know who they are. Justin Williams and Corey Williams, you know, they're crushing it. And that's super important as well. The Black Foxes is another group out there as well. And I'm just plugging because I feel like I want to be able to shine a light on those organizations that are doing some really cool things. And there's a lot of other ones out there too. I think a lot of brands as well definitely try to put their best foot forward, especially after you know what happened during the pandemic. I don't want to get all into it now because I'm not trying to get all political and all that stuff, but like obviously like there's definitely some talks about how there weren't a lot of support from brands out there for people of color, Black and brown people, BIPOC sport individuals, especially during the Black Lives Matter movement. I'm not gonna go too deep into that though, because this isn't the video for that. But like I said before, it's not gonna be the last video I talk about these things. And yes, I am a cyclist. I am Black, born and raised here in the United States of America. And so, you know, I see it the way I experience it. You know, I've lived here all my life. So I have the free will to talk about anything I want about race and anything there is about this sport since I've been in it and experienced it for this very long time. So I would love to hear from y'all and what y'all think about this video. Drop your comments below, and I'll try to answer them as soon as I can. I know this video is gonna get a lot of comments. I feel like a lot of people are gonna have their opinions about these things because people like to talk about these things, you know, and some people like to share their opinions about things that aren't gonna help the sport of cycling, and that's fine too. So drop them below, and I hope y'all all enjoyed, and maybe you can take this video and share it with someone who may see eye to eye. But yeah, you know, just something I wanted to share with you all. And y'all already know what to do. Go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace out.
In Africa, and get better and better with riders able to come into being fed to the higher echelons of the peloton.
Jalal Edouard is next for South Sudan. You know, the panoply of nations that we've got here is absolutely outstanding. It's so wonderful as well that we have come to Africa for the first time, the biggest continent on the planet, and just so very special for us.
The Rwanda team are ready for racing.
Definitely be a medal chance or a gold medal winning chance, but they definitely focusing on their road races and individual events and not participating in this event, and obviously not that.